Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, I Parry Everything, Season 1.
I Parry Everything, Season 1, Episode 11. Welcome back to the Dojo. How are you? That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the Dojo, and, well, as you guys can see, we're on a new channel. If you found us again, cool. If you're new, awesome too. But, I gotta make this announcement, like, every video for the next, like, 2.5 weeks, and I'm not happy about it, but I'm gonna TLDR it the best we can. Original channel got terminated, trying to fight that currently. We had a video on that the other day, go check that out. It should be the first video on this channel, because this was an account I made years ago that just had a couple random, like, videos that I uploaded for, like, some random wargaming event. So I was able to use this to, you know, start my stuff up again. But that video explains everything. What we're going to be doing going forward is, you guys can see the timer there. We'll be doing the timer-based reactions, and those will be over on Patreon once I get that account set up. Again, it's been one hell of a weekend, so I'm going to need to set that up at some point, hopefully this weekend, in between starting all the new shows we're going to be starting this weekend. But trying to catch up on recordings because we didn't get to finish recordings last week, and when we were going to, my account was terminated, so yeah. That's where we're at. So we're going to be doing timer reactions. Those will be on Patreon going forward. The only thing that's going to be on YouTube is the review sections after the live reaction, because we're just not going to mess with copyright anymore. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? We talked about it in the in that first video on this channel. So again, stuff on Patreon is not going to be paywalled. It's just going to be over there. And yeah, so going forward on YouTube, we're going to be doing just the review section and discussion. So that's how it's going to be. For I Parry Everything here, we got the last 2 episodes of the season, and since we have to catch up, we're doing episode 11 today, since it didn't get to come out last week, and then we'll be wrapping up the season. That episode will come out tomorrow, so we will still be able to start all the new shows next week. So that's where we're at. It is what it is. Again, if you're a smaller creator or know a smaller creator, refer them to that video because it's important. So anyway, as for I Parry Everything, the gang is still on their, you know, longest day ever. This day that they're in started in like episode 6 or something. So they've been at it for a while. They're chasing down the king of the empire, the emperor, whatever, and Denise got to blow up a wall, some buildings. Dragon got to do stuff. And Nora is freaking out like in a catatonic state of sleep. So again, I'll apologize for my personal just demeanor and headspace for the next week or so, because again, losing an account like that potentially has me in a really shitty mood. But once again, profanity-laced tirades are not going to get anybody anywhere. So if I seem a little off and just whatever, it's because, you know, I'm not in a great mood, but the show must go on. So I will apologize for myself, but that's where my headspace is at for a little bit here until I at least get a response from either that company or freaking YouTube. So anyway, going forward, it'll be, I assume, this is just going to be chasing down the Emperor, politics, and then the last episode will be something like kind of set up like we discussed before. So everything that's happened in the last couple days, I really don't remember too much what's been going on with all the shows. So I'm trying to like rework like what's been going on, and especially since this is just going to be the last 2 episodes of the season. Yeah, it's kind of a weird place for me to be at.
Yeah, we're probably going to go drop a dragon on the Empire's capital and then get a read the manga ending.
Right, because I assume that's what this is going to be, and we'll talk about that in the like season wrap up tomorrow. So either way, that being said, we're going to push some buttons and do the beginning of the timer-based reaction, which is not going to be on YouTube, so we will see everybody on YouTube on the other side of that edit for the review section. So yeah, we'll be going right into that right after I finish this sentence. So here goes some. Well, alrighty then. We just rolled out of the reaction and are back on YouTube here. So you guys just saw the intro editing magic, right? I know. So, what? Obviously, since the reaction's over on Patreon, we have to kind of reiterate some stuff. If you guys didn't go watch that, but are we sure this just isn't Midgar? Like, I mean, seriously, you cannot tell me that this whole place isn't just completely freaking inspired by Midgar. That is just the Mako cannon. Those are just Mako reactors, except they're calling them mana batteries or whatever the hell they call them. And then it was literally the same freaking animation from when the Mako drains out of all the reactors and into the sister array when they fire at the diamond weapon, one of the weapons in the original Final Fantasy VII. So, I mean, we all know that, you know, there are certain things that are inspired by certain things. That's cool and everything, but man, it's just the same. This is seriously just Midgar, and what I'm getting out of this is Cloud just needed to be able to parry shit, and the story of Final Fantasy VII would have been a lot shorter. To be fair, though, the cannon was on Junon Harbor before it was in on Midgar, so yeah, that is what it is. But either way, this is the second interpretation of the big ass cannon in Final Fantasy VII, where they drain all the Mako power into it and fire it at one of the weapons to break the barrier at the northern crater, so they can finally go after Sephiroth. I didn't think I'd have to be explaining random Final Fantasy VII lore for this, but that's what's going on. So.
And clearly someone needs to make a mod that changes the Buster Sword into the freaking Black Blade.
Right. I mean, just saying. It might as well just be that, because that's what this was. I mean, this was like if Rufus was like totally incompetent and had a bunch of incompetent advisors. For the most part, all the advisors from the Shinra Electric Company are pretty competent. Even freaking, what's his name? Palmer, the damn rocket research guy. He's reasonably competent. So, yeah, this was... this was something, man, for just... It's literally just Midgar, and there's nothing really wrong with it. You can pay homage to whatever. People have been paying... Like, we talked about this at the end of Danmachi. Like, people have been paying homage to the original Super Saiyan transformation forever, ever since it's become a thing. You know what I mean? It just became just a staple, something that you could pay homage to. Like, if you ever see a character glowing gold, it's an homage to the original Super Saiyan transformation. That's what it is. It's just like paying tribute to Toriyama and all that stuff. That's what it was, because that's how big of an impact that, you know, the greatest anime moment in, you know, the 90s kind of deal, that like just kind of became worldwide known as like one of the most hype moments of all time. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where you can pay tribute to certain things that like inspired you and stuff like that. If this author claims that they've never played Final Fantasy VII, I will call them a damn liar. Now,
off again?
To be fair, could people come up with similar ideas without having seen, like, in this case, the original, which, you know, I'm sure Final Fantasy VII wasn't the first, like, fiction or fantasy that had something like this, but, you know, it's the most, like, well-known kind of thing at this point. You know, kind of like the Simpsons did it thing. Everything was like a spin-off or a, you know, like an homage to something from the past, you know, all the way back to, like, say, you know, whenever stories started being told, you know, a lot of things are inspired by Shakespearean plays. You know what I mean? Something, you look at something and it's like, yeah, that's just Romeo and Juliet. That's just Hamlet, you know, that's just Tale of Two Cities. You know what I mean? Because they were all great stories by, you know, profoundly respected authors and stuff like that. It's no different than all the damn freaking superhero remakes we're getting in the last 20 years. You know what I mean? Same thing. Adam West was a great Batman. We're just redoing it, basically. So it's just, you know, it's the same thing. So nobody
messes with Adam Wee.
Yeah, nobody messes with Adam Wee. but it's just one of those things where, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that doesn't necessarily... Well, yeah, I could agree with that. Could somebody have just come up with this on their own without having any kind of inspiration of any kind of anything similar? Absolutely. You know, there's like a famous Michael Scott comedy line, and I get to quote The Office a lot recently based on what's going on. But he one of his just like random things is just, you know, when I was a kid, I came up with the unicorn without ever knowing what that was before. That was a thing. I just came up with that. I dreamed that up, you know. And as stupid as a thing to say that is, because it's Michael Scott and that's the character, it's not unrealistic. You could just be like a kid and not have been, you know, exposed to different forms of media, different stories, just whatever, and you could just have, you know, also thought up, you know, a unicorn in the case of Michael Scott, or, you know, you imagined Spider-Man as a thing, but, you know, you didn't know Spider-Man was a thing. Whatever, you know what I mean? Without being exposed to the original or whatever, what have you, you could still, a random person could still feasibly come up with anything that's been created in history. What I mean? So
you'd have this sudden inexplicable urge to fill a page with menacing kanji.
Right. Same thing. So it's just one of those things. So it's one of those kind of interesting thought experiments. It's like they had to have, you know, seen like stuff like Final Fantasy VII. It's like clearly like shot for shot, right? But that might not necessarily be the case. I'm not saying that's the case. These days, most people that are in like a specific medium, they probably know the big time classics, you know, like Final Fantasy VII, like, you know, anything that The Simpsons have done, anything like Dragon Ball Z did back in the day, the original Gundams for anime, that kind of thing, the OG animes, that kind of thing that you can pay homage to and just throw up that like respect flag for them. So yeah, if this wasn't that, then I'd be surprised. So again, if anybody has seen the video clip of the Sister Array firing out of Midgar, it's literally the same thing. The whole city goes dark, and then the cannon fires, and that's what happened here. So yeah, this was definitely a thing. We kept going on our increasingly long ass day. The king's advisors here all quit mid-war. That's impressive. This was something different. I gotta appreciate it, because I don't think I've ever seen just random ministers of various sections of the government just bail, just toss off their, you know, coat or robe or whatever, and just like, nah, this is somebody else's problem. Then we had that guy that quit and then gave the order that the guy that is going to replace him to, you know, take over for the job that he just quit, which once you quit, you can't necessarily give orders, right? He kind of did that backwards. He needed to order saying, you're taking over all my responsibilities and I quit. So there was a lot of just ridiculous madness in this one. I mean, are we surprised Nor parried the damn shot from the giant gun? No. This gun was slightly bigger than those cannons or beam rifles, or whatever you want to call them, that were like on the trains. You know what I mean? The train ones were pretty damn big. So this being this size, not unfeasible. It seemed like a similar size beam from what you know, Nor parried that was coming at them on the hillside. So Nor's ridiculous, we get it, but he's also ridiculous for crap like this. Just slamming through like 10 floors and then landing right where he needs to.
Yeah, like, once again, like, Nor's ability is to parry everything, but the big problem for most of his opponents is the fact that he actually has an indestructible sword to parry it with.
Right.
So once again, if he didn't have the black blade, even though he could parry the beam, it would just destroy the sword, most likely, and probably still hit him.
Right. So, we did see that when he was fighting the cow. I don't think anybody's gonna tell him. Last episode, nobody's gonna freaking tell this man. It's just he's gonna keep being a weird guy. I think that's just how it's gonna be, and it's damn hilarious. I mean, I could make another Michael Scott joke here. For anybody who's seen The Office, you guys remember when there was fresh concrete right outside the office, and Michael decided to slam his face into it and leave his mark on history, basically. That's what this was. It was no different than when Dwight just pushed Michael's face straight into the freaking fresh concrete that hadn't dried yet. Except this was obviously a complete floor, and, you know, he shattered the floor with his face, so obviously he took a little bit of damage there. So, you know, he's still being protected by his orichalcum armor or whatever, I'm sure. But still, it's his face. He took a lot of... The Emperor took a lot of face damage in this episode.
Yeah, this was right before he got literally embedded into the wall.
Yeah, like cartoon style. Fairly classic. Gotta appreciate it. But yeah, the rest of the sequence was just pretty much Nor being weird, and luckily Rain showed up with the facts. Did you guys see all the facts that man had? How he got all that information in the short amount of time? Impressive. I'm just gonna chalk it up to magic and thought communication, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, we know they have a pretty extensive, like, surveillance system using magic in their kingdom.
Yeah. So, once again, we got diplomacy that we talked about. That happened. The king abdicated. We got sort of a kind of a similar situation to what's going on with Slime in a way, with freaking what's his name taking over that one kingdom. Yeah. So, except in this case, it's not really going to be a puppet state, I assume. It's just going to be like the atypical, like, the terms are not coming to me because I'm still out of it, but it's when the ruler of a kingdom, in this case, since it's his grandkid, would be taking over and he's like 10 or whatever. It's like the Regency Council. Yep. It's been a while since we played Europa, but yeah, he's gonna have that Regency Council going on. But it definitely seems like the Emperor was just pretty single-minded, and everybody was just kind of following what he said, and he was the a-hole. You know what I mean? And the rest of the like council there just knew it was bad, but they couldn't really stop him until they had, like, look at what he did. You know, all of our, like, mana batteries and all this damage is because of him, and he started a war that, you know, blew up in his face, so he clearly has no right to lead, kind of deal. So,
oh yeah, it's one of those things where it's an authoritarian government, so, like, everyone has to listen to him until he proves otherwise.
Yep. So, either way, it'll be interesting to see going forward. Speculation, because who knows if this will get a season 2. Just really quick, we'll talk about it in tomorrow's video, just based on the season wrap up and stuff like that. But Age did mention this earlier. It does kind of feel like this is like one of those anime that's probably like, hey, if you enjoyed this, go read the manga, kind of deal. So
this comes off like it's going to be a read the manga ending, where it's going to be kind of be left at the start of the next story arc. Not like super conclusive ending or anything, just kind of it's a single season meant to just get you interested enough in the story that you potentially go out and buy the manga.
Right. And I think it's doing a good job as far as I'm concerned. So we'll talk more about that in the season wrap up tomorrow. But yeah, going forward for just like the manga perspective, from a manga perspective, I'm sure, you know, we'll be seeing more of this council of 10 people. You know, whatever is going to be going forward with the story, it'll probably have to do with, like, the sword itself. The dungeon is probably going to be a thing, stuff like that. Besides just like Nora's like random adventures that he's probably going to continue having, like figuring stuff out.
Yeah, I imagine we'll probably see either some of this dungeon or one of the other dungeons trying to figure out what's going on with the sword. But I'm pretty sure like the next major story arc probably would be some form of conflict with the the freaking theocracy in there retaliating over the whole thing with Rollo.
Yep. So the king did mention that when he was asking Nora like what he wanted for a reward, and we had that whole Nora's weird guy situation. But out of this crazy day, Rollo now has a place to live. He will be living with a niece, probably for the foreseeable future, and now he can eat delicious food. So at least something came out of this, right? Nora's still broke and a weird guy. Whereas he could at least, you gotta appreciate him like wanting to like say, hey, spend the money on fixing the Capitol and all that stuff. But you know, the Capitol wouldn't be there if not for him, so he could have at least gotten something out of it. You know, he's always talking about he's broke. It's like, could I at least get like an imperial stipend? Can I like be on the payroll or something? I don't know. Could you guys give me like an official job and like just wages or whatever? I don't know. just something for himself, just a little bit. You can't help others if you can't help yourself. You know what I mean? If you spend all your time helping other people, which is very noble and cool, but if you run yourself down so much that you can't move and you're sick and just toast, you can't exactly help yourself if you're sick and toast and can't move. You know what I mean? As much as you want to help other people, you got to take care of yourself first. You know, you got to keep up your body. You know, just take care of yourself first before you can help other people. You know what I mean? So that is what it is. But you know, it's one of those just things that's fairly interesting to think about. But Nor is Nor, we've come to see from all of this. So he's just kind of a weird guy. At some point, maybe somebody will tell him. Also, he's not going to remember that guy's name. We already got him. So, if you're just some random guy, then you're just, yeah, full-on Soldier 11 from CZZ. So, either way, it'll be kind of interesting to see how this season wraps up. But it'll probably, like Gage said, just kind of like something to the effect of teasing what the next arc is going to be, probably the theocracy, something like that. Maybe just some kind of like random slice of life wrap up episode with Nora going around and, you know, it coming full circle with him just like help fixing up the Capitol, whatever, what have you, just like random nonsense kind of deal. But we'll just have to see.
That's going to be Nora's like actual reward. Is he's going to go around, he's going to fix the Capitol, he's going to become filthy stinking rich that way.
Right. So either way, that's all I really got for this one. It was solid enough for what it was. And we'll talk more about the season on the whole tomorrow. We're going to be doing that right now, but that episode will come out tomorrow. So as we catch up with the fallout of my other channel getting freaking terminated. So again, I apologize about the audio stuff. I will figure it out hopefully before the next set of shows. I'll try to get on that in the next day or so here and figure out how to just mute the audio from my, at least from my end on the recording end, and just mute it on the from the browser, so that that's the only stuff being muted on the recording, and it's, you know, us talking will still come through. So that's really the only thing that needs to happen. So yeah, I'll just have to figure that out. So anyway, you got anything else for this one, Age?
Not really, outside of reiterating my whole great thing with this bit, which is, like, I was going off about that during the outro, but to this day, Made in Abyss is still the only show, or fictional story in general, that's gotten it right, in my experience. In that a character who's never had good food wouldn't actually know what good food even is.
Right.
So, like, Rollo's whole thing of, at least, like, of, like, wanting to have eaten delicious food at least once kind of thing. He spent his whole life living in slavery, being fed scraps, and has no concept for what delicious food actually would be.
Right. It's just kind of like assuming that delicious food does exist kind of deal. And it has to be better than whatever they're getting, right? It has to be something to that effect.
Yeah, like he probably would have like seen people eating better food and therefore would assume that some sort of better food does exist, but he would, like, once again, still have no actual concept of it.
Right. Well,
but yeah, like Nana Chi's situation in Maiden Abyss is like one of the only cases I've seen of like accurately doing that.
right. So either way, yeah, that's just kind of one of those things, just minor, but yeah, it does make sense from that kind of standpoint. So.
Yeah, it's a personal gripe just because I see so many freaking stories get it wrong. Just, like, pretty much everyone does it.
Yep. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. It's kind of like Peacemaker's rant that he has in the most recent Peacemaker to like the old guy about like, you know, how many people does like Batman indirectly kill for, you know, not just like putting all of his what was like cadre of supervillains just like in the ground. You know what I mean? It's like, how many times are we gonna put the Joker in jail, and how many times is he gonna break out and like get people killed before, you know, off the guy? But I mean, that's like one of the major problems with like the superhero verses is, you know, in all reality, those kind of criminals would be just executed because they don't want them to be a problem ever again, but for the sake of storyline and stuff like that, they would have to come up with like 8 billion villains for the heroes to deal with, and that's obviously not going to happen. From like that, like living in that world's perspective is like, why the hell aren't we just, you know, killing them? You know what I mean? So anyway, again, it's been a weird week. I apologize. I'll figure out the audio stuff for the live reaction stuff on Patreon once I get that set up this weekend. But again, I'm going to be probably dealing with trying to recover my old account this week, so stuff will be kind of whatever. So going forward, yeah, this is how it's going to be. We'll wrap up I Parry Everything here on tomorrow, and then we'll be starting the new shows next week. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond however you're watching, we always appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us here in the dojo for more anime night in the dojo. And this is I Parry Everything, Season 1, Episode 11. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.